Steve, I got a daily dose of Deion for you and for us. I want to play, I think we got, Stephen A. Smith. This comes from our man, Stephen A. Smith. He's got a Coach of the Year candidate in college football. Let's play SOT number 2.
People were wondering whether or not they were going to win 3 or 4 games. They 4-1. They're 4-1 right now. If this continue, I don't think he's going to pull it off.
We'll see what Paul Feinbaum has to say about that.
I don't think, Paul Feinbaum is on the verge of ready to apologize to primetime because of the stuff they said. Joe Fortenbaugh and Paul Feinbaum, everybody thought they were going to get crushed by UCF. They didn't beat them. Yeah. They beat their ass. There's a difference, okay? And so you look at the way they're playing. Of course, in Primetime's case, they'd have to continue to play this way in order for him, and they got to make a bowl game in order for him to get those kind of accolades. But Travis Hunter, Heisman.
Got to leave it there.
That's Stephen A. campaigning for Deion for Coach of the Year. They beat Colorado State. They beat North Dakota State. They beat overvalued UCF team. And who else am I missing someone? Or they played 4 games or 5?
Yeah, and they lost to Nebraska, and they beat Baylor.
Lost to Nebraska. Beat Baylor. There it is. Beat Baylor. So I want to give you Coach of the Year. I want to give you some other Coach of the Year candidates. Frank Zignetti. Indiana is 5-0 for the first time since 1967. People want to talk about bad football programs. Indiana, and I know they had the Bill Mallory era, but Colorado's got far more history on the football field than Indiana. Kellen DeBoer at Alabama. They're 4-0, and yes, it's Alabama, but holy cow, since 2022, DeBoer is 7-0 over Dan Lanning, Lincoln Riley, Steve Sarkisian, Kirby Smart. How about TJ Moe's man, Barry Odom at UNLV? 4-0. Eyeing the first consecutive winning season since 83-84. Manny Diaz at Duke. He's 5-0. Duke, 5-0. And then I can't even pronounce BYU's head coach's name, Kalani. I can't pronounce Satake. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Korean Kosel. That's why you're here. BYU 5-0. They beat SMU, Kansas State. Deion sucks up all the oxygen out of the room. You can't even discuss other people because everything's Deion. Deion is actually who people think Caitlin Clark is. That, Caitlin Clark gets too much hype. No, Caitlin Clark gets too much hype. You can't focus on all these other people. It's actually Deion Sanders who is Caitlin Clark. But your thoughts on Deion as Coach of the Year?
Well, hold on. Does that make you Deion's Dijonais? Anyway, look, first of all, terrible omission. Terrible omission. No mention of Mario Cristobal doing a fine job. Good job, Mario.
They were expected.
It is. Greg Schiano has Rutgers going once again. Rutgers is going to win some games. Now, Jason, let's be fair about this. I said a month ago, with that schedule, if the Colorado Buffaloes win 8 or 9 games, I'll say it, Deion would be my Coach of the Year. He's halfway there. But, Jason, here's the thing that I think's funny. It's one thing to have a Heisman Trophy list of who we have after September. I've never seen lobbying for Coach of the Year in the month of October, and I think today's the first day. And this is where it's like, okay, what's the agenda here? I mean, I've never seen a Coach of the Year candidacy begin before we even get to Thanksgiving. And that is interesting. But look, they're a better team than we thought. I think they're showing marked improvement. They have a bye week this week. Let's see if they can get through the rest of the Big 12 and continue their development as a football team on both sides. And I'm going to reiterate this. If they get to 8 or 9, he would get my vote.
Well, whoa. So you're falling into the trap. You're falling into the trap.
No, I'm not. What do you mean?
What if Indiana goes 12-0? What if Indiana goes 12-0?
Okay. I love Signetti. Curtis Rourke is a hell of a quarterback. They're in a very tough conference. It's called the Big Ten. It's so big, it has 18 teams. It's a gauntlet. But you know what? You do bring up a good point. Is there already an agenda to say Deion has to be the coach of the year? And at that point, I get. But if Cignetti can lead Indiana to, let's say, a top 5 finish in the Big Ten, now you have a point. I cannot deny that, because I will say finishing in the top 5 in the Big Ten at IU would be different than being, let's say, a third-place team in the Big 12. I do not disagree with that. But again, we are talking about a media-driven agenda here.
Right, and so literally, it's this is what they do. It's like, and I'm sorry for going political here, but hey, if Kamala Harris gets through the debate without any major gas, without farting on national TV or whatever, boy, it's a success, and she's debater of the year. If Deion Sanders wins 8 or 9 games, oh boy, well, hold on. Well, what if BYU goes 12-0? What if Duke goes 10-2? What if Barry Odom goes 11-1? Like, hey, let's let this thing play out. Yeah. Let's go. Hey, if Sanders gets to 8 victories, it's so incredible.
Jason, I gotta give you credit. You finally got me. You got me. Because you're right. Because this is what it reminds me of. This is right up your alley. This will probably not happen again for probably till March of 2025, where you got me. But you're right. It's like the WNBA Rookie of the Year award. There was a time when people were trying to press Angel Reese. She rebounds. And then what? Well, she rebounds. And then what? Well, she looks good on the runway coming into the game. And meanwhile, you're kind of thinking, well, wait a minute. There's that little guard from Indiana or Iowa, Clark. She's actually better. And when it's all said and done, Jason, the WNBA Rookie of the Year award was a landslide for Caitlin Clark. So I get it. Point taken. You got it. You got me there. You got me.
Well, and literally we've lowered the standard for his 8 wins are better than someone else's 10, 11, or 12 wins. I'm just not for that. But are you?
Well, I mean, but you also see this in how they're going to be selecting people who make the playoffs. This is part of college football. The appearance and the politics play a role in it. If a team has no wins, they're not going to for sure get in over a team that might have 1 or 2 losses, depending on what conference they're in. So you can see that the politics. Plus, you see this in the Grammys. You see this in all of the awards in the music and entertainment. There's always a level of politicalness that goes into this. And I think. Do
you smell something in the air, Steve?
Oh no!
I think I'm making an actual valid point here before you turn on me.
I think I smell the butter box being brought out.
Yeah, the butter. I think I smell butter.
You can look at the committee that is going to choose a one-loss team.
I smell butter. Butter.
Folks out there say me.
Cut Butter's Mike. He's in the butter box. Steve, could you explain to Butter the playoff system? And,
the playoff system's pretty simple.
Cut his mic. There's
go ahead, 4 major conferences, okay? And Big 12 is one of them. They get an automatic bid. And there's also one G5 out of that, like the UNLV Boise State level. They get a bid. And the rest are at large, which will largely come from 2 conferences, the Big Ten and the SEC. But Jason, getting back on track here, I think there's a couple of things here.
Thank you.
Hold
on for 1 second. Before you finish, I like it better when we have Butter on screen with the butter box. But continue. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, yeah, not to rub it in or anything, Jason.
Could you cut Butter's mic, please? I keep hearing Butter's mic. I hear him giggling. He's poisoning the show. These are comments detrimental to the show that could end the credibility of this show. We've got him in the butter box. Cut his mic. Steve, continue.
So as the noted philosopher from far east, East LA, Montebello, Confucius say the standards you have for somebody is what you really think of them. And let's be honest. Do you think Stephen A. Smith even knows who Kirk Cignetti is? Do you even think he knows that the coach of Rutgers is Greg Schiano? He's never hung out with them. He's hung out with Deion, though. So there is some of that.
Don't miss a second of Fearless. Hit that like button and subscribe to keep up with our latest content.